South Korea's Trade Minister Yo Han-gu is currently in Washington, D.C. to meet with senior trade officials. Upon arrival in the U.S., Yo told reporters that the recent data breach at Coupang must be separated from trade or diplomatic issues. North Korea is calling for an explanation from South Korea after accusing the South of flying drones into its airspace. Seoul, however, has denied the claims, saying that no military drones were flown on the dates cited by the North. South Korea's ruling Democratic Party has elected a new floor leader. Three-term lawmaker Han Byung-do won the closely contested race and vowed to push forward key reform and livelihood bills at speed, while supporting the success of the Lee administration. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. South Korea's Trade Minister Yo Han-gu arrived in Washington on Sunday to address growing American concerns over actions taken by Seoul against Coupang and online platform regulations. Our Park Jun-an starts us off.
South Korea's Trade Minister Yo Han-gu, who is currently in the United States, said Sunday that the massive data breach at Coupang should be separated from trade or diplomatic issues. He added that the core problem lies in the large-scale personal information leak at Coupang and the company's inadequate response.
The core issue is the massive data breach at Coupang and the inadequate response that followed. Since the matter is being handled impartially and fairly, it should be addressed separately from trade or diplomatic issues.
Speaking to reporters upon arrival at Washington Dulles International Airport, Yo emphasized that the Korean government is not targeting or discriminating against any specific American company, including Coupang. Yo's visit comes amid ongoing U.S. concerns over Korea's digital barriers, including from the U.S. House Appropriations Committee and the Department of State. The U.S. Department of State late last year criticized a South Korean anti-disinformation bill, saying the amendment to the Network Act negatively impacts the business of U.S.-based online platforms and undermines free expression. The House Appropriations Committee warned in September that the Act on Promotion of Information and Communications Network Utilization and Information Protection, which was under review at the time, could amount to disparate treatment against American technology firms and could give China an advantage. To address the concerns, Yo said he will conduct extensive outreach during his visit, during meetings with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, key lawmakers, and industry groups to explain the Korean government's intent. Park Jun-an, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, North Korea is demanding an explanation from South Korea after claiming drones from the South violated its airspace, with Kim Yo-jong warning of consequences if the flights continue. Seoul denies any military involvement, saying it's investigating whether the drones were launched by civilians while pledging to avoid escalating tensions with Pyongyang. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, is demanding an explanation from South Korea over what Pyongyang claims were drone incursions into its airspace. In a statement carried by North Korean state media on Sunday, Kim said drones flying from the Republic of Korea violated the North's sovereignty. Her comments came after South Korea's defense ministry denied that its military was responsible, saying the drones may have been launched by civilian groups. Kim welcomed that denial, but said Seoul must still explain what she called an actual drone that crossed into North Korean territory. She warned that any future flights, regardless of who launches them, would bring serious consequences. She also claimed video recovered from the drones showed sensitive North Korean sites, including a uranium mine, the Kaesong Industrial Complex, and border guard posts, which she said proves the drones came from the south. The comments come as North Korea's military claimed that a drone was detected on January 4th, flying north from Gangwon-do Island near Incheon and was forced down near Kaesong using an electronic warfare system. Pyongyang says the drone was carrying surveillance equipment. It also claims another drone flew from Paju in late September, crossed into North Korea, passed over Kaesong, and was brought down by an electronic attack system. The North says that the aircraft carried nearly 6 hours of video footage. Pyongyang also accused Seoul of hostile provocations while talking about dialogue and warned that such actions would not go unpunished. South Korea's defense ministry has rejected the claims, saying an initial investigation shows the drones were not operated by the South Korean military and that no military drones were flown on the dates cited. Defense Policy Chief Kim Hong-chul said authorities are now investigating whether the drones could have been operated by civilians. He added that Seoul has no intention of provoking North Korea and will continue efforts to reduce tensions and build trust between the two sides. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
South Korea's ruling Democratic Party is entering a new phase of leadership following controversy surrounding its former floor leader, as it looks to steady itself ahead of key legislative battles and upcoming local elections. Our Buniran has the details.
South Korea's ruling Democratic Party has elected a new floor leader and 3 new members of its Supreme Council, following an internal shakeup that triggered an early leadership vote. After a competitive race that went to a runoff, 3-term lawmaker Han Byung-do emerged as the new floor leader on Sunday, defeating fellow 3-term lawmaker Baek Hae-ryun in the final round of voting. Han will serve out the remainder of his term, which runs until May, though the party has left open the possibility of a short extension to cover the June local elections. The party held a by-election to fill the vacancy left by former floor leader Kim Byung-gi, who stepped down amid allegations involving political donations and internal misconduct. His resignation left the powerful parliamentary post vacant months before the end of its original term, forcing the party to move up the election. The timing makes the role especially significant. The new floor leader will steer the party through negotiations on high-profile special prosecutor bills, including probes related to religious groups and broader corruption allegations, while also preparing for the June 3rd local elections. In his acceptance speech, Han pledged to push forward key reform and livelihood bills at speed, while supporting the success of the Lee administration. He also signaled a dual-track approach towards the opposition, open to dialogue but firm against what he called obstructionist politics.
From this moment on, I will swiftly bring a year of turmoil under control and urgently move to end the insurrection, reform the prosecution and the judiciary, and improve people's livelihoods.
Alongside the floor leader vote, the Democratic Party also held a by-election to fill 3 vacant seats on its Supreme Council, left open by members stepping down to run in the local elections. Lawmakers Kang Deok-gu, Lee Sung-yun and Moon Jang-bok were elected, with results reflecting a closely watched balance between different factions within the party. With both parliamentary leadership and the Supreme Council reshaped, attention now turns to whether the Democratic Party can stabilize internal divisions and maintain momentum ahead of the June polls. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says it will send hundreds more federal officers to Minnesota following mass protests over last week's fatal shooting of 37-year-old Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told Fox News on Sunday that the new deployments will take place over the next 2 days, adding to the roughly 2,000 federal officers already operating in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, in what the Department of Homeland Security calls its largest immigration enforcement operation ever. The move comes a day after tens of thousands of protesters marched through Minneapolis, and more than 1,000 rallies took place across the United States over the weekend against deportation policies and the killing of Good. As South Korea and the European Union look ahead to a more uncertain global landscape, cooperation between Seoul and Brussels takes on even more urgency across security, technology, and economic resilience. Our Oh Soo-young sat down with the EU ambassador to Korea to hear his outlook for the new year.
Seoul and Brussels face greater strategic challenges in 2026, rendering value-based cooperation more crucial than ever. That's according to Europe's top envoy in Seoul, Ambassador Ugo Astuto, speaking with Arirang News.
Well, I think it's absolutely essential that two like-minded democracies and advanced economies such as the EU and Korea work together. As I said earlier, we are facing headwinds in the international scene. So that's a moment where friends and partners need to come together. And we do. I'm glad to say we do.
A veteran European diplomat, Astuto took up his post in Seoul last year after holding senior Asia-Pacific roles at both the European External Action Service and Italy's Foreign Ministry. In his outlook for the new year, Astuto points first to security as the major common challenge ahead.
And when it comes to security interests, we're seeing boundaries are really blurring when it comes to common security interests for the Euro-Atlantic region and the Indo-Pacific region as well. And in terms of North Korea and Russia's military collaboration, how concerned are you and how far do you think it could potentially go?
Look, we are very concerned. This security nexus, which is getting stronger by the day. When you look at the support that North Korea has been offering to Russia and its aggression against Ukraine, we all know that North Korea is getting something in return: economic support, energy, foodstuff, and I sense military technology. We don't know how far Russia can go, but we all know that Russia doesn't have many scruples in that respect. So I think we have reasons to be concerned, and we have reason to try to monitor together this development and to try to mitigate the consequences, not just in the peninsula but worldwide. It's already the strategic concept, the NATO strategic concept of 2022.
He noted Seoul and Brussels are already strengthening their response.
We have a strategic partnership since a number of years, and we have a collaboration which is broad and broadening. Last year, actually in 2024, we signed a security and defense partnership. We are working on that to expand it to cover a number of very relevant grounds, from cybersecurity, foreign information manipulation, interference. And we work together to uphold the multilateral system of international governance.
Shared concerns also extend to economic security. Korea and the EU have set up a working group on emerging economic issues.
Indeed, over the past few years, we have seen economic coercion becoming the norm rather than the exception. Most recently with rare earths, raw materials in general terms. Again, as advanced democracy, we must have reliable supply chains in place, and this means that we can work together at de-risking, for instance, making sure that we have a reliable network of suppliers in place when it comes to raw materials, to those essential items which will be key for the fourth industrial revolution, which are already proving key for the most innovative parts of our economies.
Astuto is working to tighten cooperation in strategic sectors, particularly technology and innovation, given Korea's participation in the EU's €9.5 billion Horizon Research Programme.
I'm really very happy to congratulate Korea for its joining as a full associate member. It's the first Asian country to do so. I think it's fair to say that particularly in the green and digital transition we can do much. These are the aspects which are most relevant for the transformation of our economies in the coming years. There are topics such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing.
Climate cooperation is another key sector for Astuto.
We see, based on most estimates, that we're not going to respect the targets set in Paris unless we all make collectively a genuine additional effort. And again, I think Korea and the European Union can be pioneers in that respect.
At a time of accelerating change, Astuto says the moment now calls for renewed momentum in cooperation.
We organized not so long ago in Brussels the fourth edition of the Indo-Pacific Forum. And I'm happy to say that Korea is one of the major participants of this gathering. It's about discussing how we can together foster respect for the UN Charter, first of all, but also development, connectivity, sustainable development, how to work together against climate change, against the the challenge of pollution, of biodiversity loss. So quite a number of common challenges that we can address together. And all of this is relevant for the work of the team here and myself personally.
Based on strong frameworks and agreements, the ambassador says his mission in Seoul is to ensure that the Korea-EU partnership operates at its full potential. Seoul Arirang News.
Netflix mega hit movie K-pop Demon Hunters has won Best Original Song Motion Picture at the Golden Globes Awards. At the 83rd edition of the awards held in Los Angeles on Sunday local time, the film's official soundtrack, Golden, beat out competition from movies including Wicked for Good and Avatar, Fire and Ash. Accepting the award, singer-songwriter EJ dedicated the honor to people who have had doors closed on them and encouraged them never to give up. K-pop Demon Hunters is also nominated in 2 additional categories, Best Animated Film and Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, with the winners set to be announced.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. We begin in Iran, where activists say Iran's security crackdown on nationwide protests has killed at least 500 people. The activists warn the true death toll may be higher as authorities have shut down the internet and cut phone lines, making verification difficult. The US-based human rights activist news agency said on Sunday that 490 protesters and 48 security force members are among the dead, and more than 10,000 people have been detained over the past 2 weeks of protests. Iran's government has not released an overall casualty figure. In Parliament, Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf warned that U.S. forces and Israel would become, quote, legitimate targets if America uses force to protect demonstrators. The protests began on December 28th after Iran's currency collapsed and have escalated into direct calls challenging Iran's theocracy. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned Cuba to, quote, make a deal before it's too late. Following the ouster of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, U.S. forces are now seizing tankers to ensure no resources reach Cuba. Trump said on social media on Sunday that Cuba long lived off Venezuelan oil and money, but not anymore, and he declared there will be, quote, no more oil or money going to Cuba, zero. Cuba's President Miguel Diaz-Canel responded on X hours later, accusing Washington of turning everything into a business, quote, even human lives. Cuba also said 32 of its military personnel were killed during the American operation that captured Maduro, and it said its officers were in Caracas under a Cuba-Venezuela agreement. In Argentina, raging wildfires in Patagonia have destroyed nearly 12,000 hectares of scrubland and forest in the region's worst environmental disaster in 20 years. Authorities say the fire started almost a week ago and are now putting a power plant and a school at risk while also damaging rural properties. Officials have not confirmed the cause, but Chubut Province Governor Ignacio Torres says he suspects arson and has offered a 50 million peso reward for information leading to the culprits. Nearly 300 firefighters and 15 aircraft are currently battling the flames, but drought and strong winds continue to hamper containment efforts. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano has erupted, sending lava across the summit area as lava fountains rose up to 50 feet. The U.S. Geological Survey reported a significant spike in volcanic tremors on Saturday, signaling a movement of magma underground. Geologists are now expecting a period of sustained high lava fountains expected to peak by Wednesday. While the lava currently remains contained within the summit caldera, authorities have issued an orange aviation code due to the unpredictable nature of the volcanic activity. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
Those on the morning commute faced bitterly cold conditions with the feels-like temperatures in the capital close to minus 15 degrees Celsius, but highs will rise nicely to above freezing mark by the afternoon. However, snow or rain is forecast to affect the central regions mainly, beginning in the capital area before gradually spreading to the rest of the regions. Seoul could see less than 1 centimeter of light snowfall, but Gyeonggi-do could see 5 to 7 centimeters of somewhat heavy snowfall, so please take extra care while traveling. Sub-zero ground temperatures could make the roads icy. And this afternoon, Seoul gets up to 3 degrees Celsius. Gwangju, Busan both make it to 7 degrees under mostly sunny skies in many regions. Meanwhile, eastern parts of Korea are under dry weather advisory. Meanwhile, snow will taper off by early tomorrow, and this intense cold wave is forecast to ease by midweek.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.